Hey guys, a couple of you had mentioned the rotisserie that I had built to put the Mustang on, and I thought I might give you a little bit more in-depth look. Hold on. Yes, technical assistant. Oh, you want outside? Okay, come on, I'll open the door for you. Come on. Hold on just a second, guys. There you go. Okay, but what I did is I just got a couple of relatively inexpensive engine stands. I think either one or both of them came from Harbor Freight, or I may have picked up one of them at Northern or somewhere like that. But I guess the most difficult part, I had to measure the width of the car at its widest point, which on my particular car is right about where the quarter panel vents are. And I can't remember what the exact measurement was. And then I divided that in half to give me basically where the center line of the car would be. Then I took that dimension and actually measured it from the highest point of this bottom member on the floor up here to the center of the pivot point, which in this case is about 39 inches, and that basically made sure that I could have enough clearance so when the car spins it actually would clear the top of the bottom member on this engine stand. I have had this car completely spun around, and it does clear by about an inch, inch and a half, maybe two. Depending on what type body and what type car you're using, your measurements and stuff may vary. But what I did on this one is I actually had a couple of pieces of square heavy wall tubing. I didn't have anything as big as this was to start with. This actually is like inch and a half by 3. I took two pieces of square tubing that I had and actually inserted them down in here, and they go all the way down to the bottom of this and all the way up into the top cap. And then I actually welded them all the way around at both of the areas where they actually come into contact with the existing vertical member. And then I also welded up the gap between the two to each other. This one right here, the overall extension on it, sorry about the camera work, guys, I'm trying to read it and the tape measure both, was about 13.5 inches was where I extended it. If your car is a little smaller than this, which I don't think there are many of them that's going to be much smaller than mine, unless you're doing like Greg Porter, where he's doing his Carmen Ghia, or maybe a Volkswagen, but I think a Volkswagen's going to be a little bit taller than a Mustang, so I'm not real sure. But there again, that's why it's so critical to get the overall width at the widest point of your car, so that you make sure that when you do start to spin this, that outer quarter panel, or worse yet, even the roof skin, hits the floor. That's the last thing you want. If anything, err on the side of judgment to go an inch taller. The only thing I would caution you about is making it too tall to where it becomes so top heavy that when you try to rotate it, the thing becomes difficult and it becomes unstable. Even when I've got this thing sitting in a horizontal position or vertical, either way, I use these heavy duty cargo straps I've got, and I always take those inside and secure it somewhere to the inside of the vehicle. I don't have a lot of tension on them. It's basically just enough to keep the car from spinning, because this thing does work so well. If I start pushing on the car just even a little bit, it does move. So something else I thought of too is you really don't want these two moving in a different plane to each other. So I took a couple of bar clamps I had and actually got an extended piece of I think that's 3/4 inch galvanized piping, and I actually clamped it from one to the other so that I make sure that they wouldn't pull apart or separate from each other while the car was on it. The engine hoist that's in the back sorry about it being so crowded, it's going to be kind of difficult to get a good shot of it, is a little bit heavier duty unit than the one that's in the front, because most of the weight is on the back of the car. So if you do get two that look like they're a little bit different, put the heavier one on the end of the car that is the heaviest on your vehicle. I actually beefed this one up a little bit. I had some extra angle iron left over, so I put a crossbar on the front of this one so I could add two wheels, whereas it only had one. And there again, I had the extra angle iron, so I actually cut this one and braced it along the outside. I didn't have anything else I could fit down in it, so I took what I had, basically a scrap metal, and put it on there. Then, once you get your rotisserie made, you have to figure out how you're going to mount it to your vehicle. One good thing about my car, where the bumper mounted, I already had 4 pretty good mounting points to where the bumper bolts and stuff went, which is what I used. And again, a good heavy 1/4 inch thick, I think that's by 2 inch, actually it's 2.5, angle iron, so that I knew that it wasn't going to fold up. And then I bolted it on both ends to the back of the car, and then actually used one of the plates for the engine hoist itself and bolted the angle iron right to it. The front gets a little bit more complicated because of the difference in the frame rail height. So what I had to do was fabricate some stuff out of some more angle iron. I basically made like a U-shaped piece of angle iron, and it's bent down. I basically cut it in the corner right here, took a torch, heated it, and folded it. I didn't cut the outer corner, welded it up on the inside and out, and then took and cut some of these corner gussets and welded them in place to help stiffen it. Then I lined it up and drilled the holes for it to mount right to the engine mounting plate on the engine stand. And then I thought, well, how am I going to adjust this if my center line isn't correct to get the balance point to where I can spin the car? On the front of the vehicle, I actually used, again, the existing bumper mount horns where they bolted to the frame. I thought, well, that's probably going to be one of the best attachment points you've got, so I used, again, some 1/4 inch angle iron and made some brackets which stuck out. And then on this side, I basically used some heavy-duty shackles from the rear of the car, which were on it when I got it. It was jacked up in the rear end, and I didn't like that, so I took them off. But they worked real good to make an adjustment for the height that it actually mounts to the rotisserie stand. What I did is I basically took this piece that's on the bumper housing, and I notched it so it would slide up and down on this member, so that would actually help me with the center point of gravity, and drilled all these holes down through here for my adjusting points. They're 1 inch apart. I started off on the bottom one, and that put the front end of the car down too low, and I couldn't hardly move it back and forth, and I kept adjusting it up one hole at a time until I got to this point. It felt really balanced as far as putting it in one position and it staying there. I went to the next one down, I'm sorry, up. It's reversed right now. And that made it kind of top heavy. It made it unstable. It didn't really want to stay where I put it. It kept trying to tip over in the orientation it's in now. So I moved it back to there and tightened everything down. Again, you want to use a good quality steel, no 1/8 inch stuff. What I did maybe overkill, I used grade 8 bolts. Again, I've got 2 on the frame rail, and I've got 2 bolting it to the stand itself on each side. Yeah, this is a great help as far as trying to be able to get to the undercarriage and stuff of your car. But one thing you always want to remember, safety first. Always. You only get one shot at this, and at best, if something were to happen, it would destroy your car. At worst, you could get injured or you know what. So if you guys do decide to build one of these, please be very careful. Always have other means of securing the vehicle. Even right now, when I get underneath it, I really watch what I'm doing with the car so that I don't shake it back and forth too much. Because I know that basically this thing is suspended by a few bolts and a couple of straps. So hopefully this helps. If there's any other questions or anything that I can answer for you so that this will help you out, please feel free to message me or post a video asking any other questions. Whatever I can do to help you guys, I'll be glad to do it, because you've all been so much of a help to me. I've got some of the suspension work done. I've got the lower control arms finished up. I got all the holes and stuff bored and nose for the mounting points. I've just got to get a final coat of paint on them, which I'll probably do that this evening. I've got the upper control arms. They're basically done. Got them in paint yesterday, so they're now dry, looking all new and shiny. And I'm working on trying to figure out exactly how much material I've got to order for trying to figure out a way to do this headliner. I'm basically going to take some sort of like fiberglass duckboard or something of that nature. I'm an HVAC technician, to kind of fill this in to raise the level of the sheet metal up to where it fills in all these voids to about where the fabric would have been if you put the fabric headliner back in it. Then I'm going to cover the surface of it, which is already a silver foil type surface, with the foil tape, and then put some type of a release agent on that so that the fiberglass resin and the mat won't stick. And I'm going to try to do some rough shaping and stuff to try and get an outline to where this will be like a solid one-piece headliner. So that way, once I get a shell and get it built up several layers thick, then I can put a gel coat on what's going to be the inside of the car and make it smooth. The one area I'm having some difficulty with is what they call the sail panels in the back. The fabric used to just hang down, and it would tuck down on the lower corner there, and then those trim panels would cover it. I don't think I can make this all as one piece from the flat top. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. I don't think I can make this as one piece and still get it in the car going down the sides of the sail panel. So what I'll probably have to do is make those separate with some type of a joint or a seam or something, because I don't want it to be one piece. Once I get it installed, I want to be able to remove it later if I have to be able to work inside the car. So if any of you guys have got any ideas, or if you see if there's anything that I'm thinking that's kind of backwards or not going to work, please feel free to post a message on this video or private message me, or even post another video maybe showing the correct way to do this. I would really appreciate it. Keep me from messing up and wasting a bunch of time and a bunch of materials. But I've looked on a lot of different sites as far as fiberglass forming. I've looked at a lot of videos on YouTube about how to form different items out of fiberglass, from speaker boxes to custom enclosures to door panels. So I think I got a pretty good understanding of it, but that doesn't mean that for this particular process, since I've not seen it done anywhere else, that what I'm thinking is going to work. So if you guys have got any experience with this, or if you see some flaw in my reasoning, please get on here and let me know so that I don't goof up like I did on this. I've got another quarter panel patch ordered, and as soon as it comes in, I'm basically going to take my shear and I'm going to cut this right above my existing adhesive line, and I will be putting that panel in as Matt so graciously suggested, and welding it just a little at a time, tacking it, blowing it off with an air hose to keep it cool so it doesn't warp, and I'll get all that done once that stuff comes in. Well, video's getting kind of long, so I don't want to go over my time limit. That's kind of where I'm at on the car. Again, a little bit of information on the rotisserie, and that's got you guys pretty well updated. Sorry it's not been too many videos lately. I've been kind of busy with other things at work and trying to get up here and do some stuff. I wanted to have something interesting to show you. I didn't want to bore you to death with nothing. So, again, appreciate all your help, everybody. The list keeps to growing. You know, Darren, Matt, Greg, a couple of new guys, Razdi Fermetta, which was one of the gentlemen that was asking me about the engine stands for the rotisserie. That's a sweet looking Firebird you got, man. That thing's going to be awesome when you get it done. So if there's anything else that I can do to help you, please feel free to ask, and that's all of you. And thank you all for your help, and I'll be talking to you later.